This is the end. I'm not going to live another day. I won't see tomorrow. This feeling of just deep, deep fear for everything you have built, it makes you feel alive. And that's fun. And then I started to reach out to businesses. I did around 3,000 reach outs. I worked for them all. I made the consulting. I sat down with them. I experimented with AI, how they worked and how they could be useful for businesses. It's hardly ever been a day where I've gone to bed without thinking, man, I could have done more today. I don't have a why. I do it for the sake of doing it. I love the people I'm working with. I love the reason why I do it. Do it on your own. Learn it on your own. I wanted this joy and meaning and purpose. So that's what I do. I'm just a regular guy who's found joy in doing these things and in building something awesome.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Ryan Lay podcast. This is episode number 3, and today I have a very exciting guest on the show, the man, the myth, the 16-year-old legend. He loves Marvel Comics and his 3 guinea pigs. But of course, he is building the next groundbreaking AI system all at the same time. But it all works out because he is passionate and obsessed with his work. He is one of the hardest working so-called AI-preneurs and also just a fun guy to be around. Tim Westermann, welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Thanks for having me. I managed to reach out on me.
Yeah, totally, man. When I was doing my research, you seemed like a really interesting guy, for sure.
Awesome. Love that.
So let's go right into it, man. You're 16 years old, Tim.
I am.
And you're already a year deep, I believe, into your business AI journey. So what is it like to be so young and involved as both a creator and an entrepreneur?
I imagined it harder, to be honest. Maybe it's because I'm not all in, you could argue that, but I think I am. So, right now, so I'm in Germany based, right? And we have summer breaks right now. So 6 weeks is just off time, off of school, which is amazing. Not as long as you Americans have, but which is amazing because I can get more work done. But in generally, it works out fine actually because you have school in the morning and then some hours in the afternoon to work on this stuff. Of course, you have to fit everything under this like 4 hour long hat that I have to work on it. But it worked out quite fine for the past years. Of course, I could have done more progress if I had more time, but not to complain. Everything seems good so far.
Oh, okay. Wait, so y'all only have 6 weeks of summer? That's kind of crazy. Because
I
we
mean,
have
we
like
have
almost 2 months.
yeah, right. So your summer break starts in March, I believe, right?
It starts in like the end of May, at least for me.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. I heard of some friend in Chicago that his starts in March next year. Anyway, yeah, we have this 6 week summer, and then we have like 2 weeks in autumn and 2 weeks in winter, so over Christmas, and then 2 weeks again in spring.
Oh, okay. So you have like,
So it's more split.
yeah, it's more distributed. I actually kind of like that. I like that more than just having a huge chunk of just like a massive summer because at least for when I was in school, like I'm going to college now, but at least for like middle school, high school, that huge summer break kind of like hurt us more from a educational perspective because like we're kind of out of it when we come back to school. So I think the distribution is a lot better, at least for the education system. And so you mentioned that you're kind of going all in, but you think that you're going all in. So what do you mean by that? Like, what does all in look like for you?
I mean, you could always do more, right? And it's hardly ever been a day where I've gone to bed without thinking, man, I could have done more today. And if it's just this 1 second that your mind was wondering about something else that could have else been going on to the business, and the end of the day, it's always, man, I could have done more. So every second after you wake up, every second in the morning, and then multitasking. So while you're training, listening to podcasts, which I liked doing a lot, but now I just heard all through Spotify, which is good that you're starting your podcast now, so something to listen to again. Um, but as much time and as much of my conscious as I have goes into this business and this mission. And of course, at the end of the day, it's always, man, I could have done more. But I think we'll never reach the point of total satisfaction with our work.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting actually that you mentioned that because just not a lot of especially young entrepreneurs have that drive that like just a little bit extra, like a little bit more, just like that extra second of losing focus that you could have invested into something else. So like, yeah, every day I love that mindset to just be improving and doing more high leverage stuff for your business, even if it's just like, a minute where you were kind of like losing focus. Yeah, that's so cool, man. That's so powerful. And I love to see that from such a young guy. Like whenever I was 16, I did not have the drive that you have right now.
Yeah, thanks. And I heard that a lot actually. And people who know me more would describe me as quite an arrogant guy. And I don't know if that's true, maybe it is. But the thing is that I don't believe myself to be something better in any way, just different, which doesn't mean better in this case. I'm just like others are going out to like parties or doing more sports or hanging out with girls, which nothing of that is wrong in any way. It's just different to what I do. And I found myself loving just business and just helping people. And so I'm just doing my thing that's just different to what other people are doing, which doesn't mean that it's better in any way. I mean, I'm missing out on a lot of things that others are doing. Like I'm missing out on a lot of sport. I keep to do as much workout as possible. I keep trying to be quite sportive and quite healthy, and I think I'm not the baddest one in that area. But especially when it comes to like partying, going out, girls, drinking, that stuff. I believe in the end, it's all about collecting memories. And
Yeah.
of course, I'm just missing out on a lot of memories just to get more and better memories later on with this business and things that I'm doing. So yeah, I'm just at the end of the day, we have to choose our sacrifices and we have to choose our regrets. And this is what I'm doing. I chose this part. So I don't think I'm better in any way, just different.
Mm. Not better, but different. And I love that you said kind of like the idea of delayed, not delayed gratification, but delayed memories. That's actually interesting. But I guess like a perspective you could think about is like not necessarily that you're delaying better memories for the future, but like the memories you're making now, even if you're not going out to party or hang out with girls, is like the memories that you're building this business, and you're documenting the journey on Twitter. Like that is already in its own like something you look back on. And I know you're going to be successful. So you're going to look back to these days and you're going to be like, hell yeah. Like this was the best time of my life. Like I'm so glad I spent my time doing this. Like these are the memories. And so I love that you mentioned that. It's definitely a struggle, especially for a lot of young entrepreneurs, right? They have to make those sacrifices. They can't be gone out with their friends all the time. They can't be partying. They can't be doing any of that because we have to sacrifice for the business. Absolutely, man. And transitioning onto some more of this business aspect, I found this recent tweet you had that kind of is like the perfect intro for you. And yeah, here it is. Who am I? For the last 2 weeks, I've been following my 30-day X challenge. But who am I even? I'm Tim, 16, good looking, working out, building an AI Imperium. I love Marvel Comics, work, sales, boxing, the gym, my 3 guinea pigs, burgers. I hate beans. I love my life. How about you? So tell me about this tweet, my man. Like, I guess the $1 million question I'm taking away from it is, what is an AI Imperium?
Right. So first off, why I wrote this tweet. Currently I'm on this mission to build an AI inbound like system or grow kind of a brand or more a following. Just because a lot of my clients, a lot of the people I speak with tell me that it's not possible or extremely hard to build a following just with AI and that you can't do it because like the human aspect is missing and stuff. And my argument is always that you just have to prompt it correctly. If you tell AI to like give me an inbound strategy or give me 100 Twitter posts, it's gonna give you 100 Twitter posts, but those are gonna be bad just because you didn't prompt it right.
Right.
And so my argument always was with correct prompting, and if you know how to do it, which I know, it's possible. So I started to go onto this 30-day challenge and to create every post on my page from 100% AI from the beginning, 100% AI, to prove to myself, my clients, and my future clients that it is in fact possible to grow the social media brand. And after 2 weeks in that I'm now, so today is day 15 of this challenge, so I'm half in. And I noticed that I never actually talked about who I was. So my strategy was to post one personality post a day, one authority post, and one value post.
Right, yeah.
But I never actually put a ground level understanding of who am I even. So that's why I made this post. Of course, true to the challenge with AI. So I gave it the information myself and I let it came up with this post. So now what's an AI Imperium? The grand vision I have for the world and for myself is AI being deployed to every business, no matter how big or how small or what niche, because I believe AI to be the next revolution, as big as the internet.
Hell yeah.
And every business has to use the internet. So I believe every business should use AI. And the more you get into AI and the more you learn about it, the more you will see that my vision isn't the baddest one. So that's an AI Imperium, just a world or an economy where everything is built on AI. Now, I know that's long-term thinking, extremely long-term thinking, because I'm not even at 10K per month yet, right? But that's the overall great vision. And so that's an AI Imperium.
Grand vision. Okay. So there's a lot to work with here. Um, but I'm gonna start off with like what you were saying about prompt engineering because that's something I've been getting into actually pretty recently. So so what about prompt engineering is like the most interesting to you because like there's a lot of nitty gritty that you go into with prompt engineering and like if you can engineer a prompt in a very specific way, like you can achieve some very, very good results. And a lot of people just like kind of, at least for me, when I first started using ChatGPT, I would be lazy about it. Like I wouldn't, I'll just like type whatever, like lowercase, no structure. Like it would be very unclear what I expected from ChatGPT or from whatever LLM. But once I realized that you can actually engineer these things and organize your ideas and what you expect from the LLM, like it's super powerful. So tell me about your experience with prompt engineering.
Yeah. So, of course, when GPT came out, and I don't know even which version it was, like November 2 years ago, and it came out, and it was this big revolution because it was an AI that you were able to interact with and was responding with like whatever you wanted, right?
Yeah.
And so you could just like put in some words and it would came back and you would be amazed because it happened. And then over time, you started to realize as it became more common that ChatGPT is a thing, more and more people realized that it was actually quite bad. And if we right now look back at those times, it's actually not even like acceptably good. So we had to start figuring out how we could use this technology better. And then more and more people found out that, hey, if we prompt this AI, this thing we have, so if we change the way we type in the things, we get better and better outcomes. And it became this deep, deep rabbit hole of prompt engineering, just because over time we found out the better the prompt, the more we get out. Meaning, we don't know what AI is capable of doing right now. We just know what it is capable to do with the prompts we give it.
Right. Yeah.
So ChatGPT, and Sam Altman said this a long time ago, his biggest fear about ChatGPT that he can't do anything about is that it gives false information just because it was prompted in a way that it gives information that could ruin world's economy like this. And he can't do anything about it because he doesn't know what ChatGPT is capable of doing. Now, ChatGPT, as of today, isn't the best model we have. There's far more powerful models out there. So it's really interesting to see what AI is possible to do or is capable of doing right now. We just haven't found out yet about it. And if we then go a bit more into how to actually understand prompt engineering and how to understand this thing, maybe how AI works, first off. It's that it has given a prompt before, like this, the prompt that the company behind it put into it.
Hmm.
And there's something in there like, I mean, it's obviously not in words, but in numbers and stuff. But in there, it's basically saying, don't give out false information, don't give out this information, don't do this, don't do that, or do this, do that. And then when we come along and go into this chat interface and put in our prompt, what the model in the background is getting, here's your prompt that you had from the beginning that we gave you. Now this prompt from the user added onto that. What's your response from the two things you have? And then the more and more we write back and forth with AI, the more it gets feed. And that's why, because it doesn't have this large memory, over time, the longer we have the chat, the more it forgets what we wrote at the beginning, just because it can't fit all into it. Now, of course, the models are getting better, but still at some point, it's just going to forget. Because AI works more or less like a human. So about prompt engineering, if you tell a human, whoever, to go and do something for you. Maybe let's take the example of building a business. If you go to someone like Alexa Mosey and you were to tell him, build me a business, he could do it with no effort. Of course, with effort, but you won't have to give him further instructions. He could do it. If you would now go to your grandma, he probably or she would probably wouldn't be able to do it that easy. He probably would need to do more steps in between, like this is how you turn on the computer, this is how you set up an ad. And the more details the steps get, the less experienced the person you're talking to is. And that's how AI works. AI is basically you talking to a human with no experience at all. So you just have to give it more context and more information for it to be able to do the thing you wanted to do better and better. And we have to do that less and less just because AI is getting better trained in more context and more context. But generally, that's how prompt engineering works.
Oh, wow. A masterclass on prompt engineering and just AI in general. That's crazy. But I guess a very interesting question, a very controversial question, a question that a lot of people disagree upon, even the experts are super split on it, is do you think that AI will take over the world? And if so, how would it happen?
It will take over the world. It is taking over the world, and it has taken over the world. But I know what you mean. You mean this dystopian Terminator AI is
Yeah,
going to kill
yeah,
us all, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I just recently had a talk with someone on that, and I believe actually, not to instill fear in anyone, but we're on the best way to this scenario. And this is because AI is getting better and better and better and better trained without us knowing what is actually going on. As I told before, we have no idea what AI is capable of doing. And if you look at AI, I mean, we could go deep into this economic sector of what is even going on behind the surface of all these big companies and how OpenAI is just crashing to the ground now. It's OpenAI is a sinking ship at the moment. And not to go too deep into that, but one of the reasons that is happening is because all of the directors of alignment, and I'll come to what that is in a minute, leave OpenAI and leave ChatGPT and go to Anthropic. Those are the ones who build a very powerful model, Claude,
Hmm.
which is far better than ChatGPT. And director of alignment, what alignment means in this case is aligning the wants and needs and the visions of the humans with the ones of the AI, so that this scenario of a world destroyed by AI doesn't happen, because we have the same vision for the world, AI and human. And all of those are leaving OpenAI because, and that's the reason, OpenAI isn't too, I don't want to call it passionate, but it's probably the best word here, aren't too passionate about making AI work and making the alignment.
Hmm.
It's a realm where the market and every country, every business involved is just competing for the bigger and bigger market. There's no brands, there is no red ocean, blue ocean. It's like a complete red ocean, right? It's like nearly black because it's just competition. And so no one is really thinking about taking a step back to think about what we're doing and how we could work on the alignment from AI to humans, but just about how it can make more and more profit, which is understandable if you're in business. I just wouldn't think that it's too smart to do that with something we have no idea what it's capable of doing. So sooner or later, we're on the best path to create this dystopian world where AI is taking over in some form.
Mhm. Okay. So I don't know if you've watched like any of the movies where like the AI actually does take over, but like how like what's the timeline for this? Because everything happens super, super fast, right? With AI, like the progress from just these past 2 years with the LLMs is crazy. And like you're seeing the applications not only in business, but like with, image recognition, with at least I did some research with like like video like analysis. And like I did this project actually where an AI could essentially view my squats, like my back squats in the gym, and then it could basically become a virtual physical trainer. And it's just like all these applications are actually beneficial for humanity. But do you think that there is even a possibility that, AI becomes this harmful thing for humanity in that, like, the Terminator aspect? Because, like, for the most part, it all seems very beneficial right now.
Yeah. If it happens, it won't happen because we created an evil AI, because no one is interested in building an evil AI. I mean, like what's his name? The butler of Batman and the second
Alfred?
the right, Alfred. Right. Disgusting that I don't know that.
You're good.
Anyway, um he said some people just want to see the world burn, right? So there typically are some people out there who just want to see the world burn and therefore would be interested in just filling an eye that would crash everything down. But in general, I believe in the good in people, at least in the individual. So no one is really interested in just building an AI that will kill us all. So if it happens, it will happen because we do a mistake or because we don't know what we're doing, because AI is just one or two steps ahead of us and does something because out of just a pure like failure or like a pure mistake that we're not prepared for, that will just crush us all down. And so it won't happen because some evil AI just decides to kill all humans. It could happen, but it's really, really unlikely. It probably just will happen because it does a mistake that we're not prepared for.
Mm, okay. I don't know if you've watched the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey, but in the
No.
movie, the space it's like an Odyssey spaceship that's basically traveling to like a parallel galaxy or something. And so it's like a very long distance. And so it's the Odyssey model basically means that the the astronauts, like the humans on the ship, are basically put into like cryo sleep for like years, decades, and then they're woken up, right? And the entire ship is managed completely by a single AI entity called HAL, I think 7,000. And so HAL is, very, very smart. Like he has control over every single system. He has control over like the vitals of the astronauts, like make sure that they're getting fed, making sure that they're breathing, etc., right? He has complete control over everything. And as the movie progresses, I don't want to spoil it too much, but as the movie progresses, like things happen, and then eventually the sentience of Hal betrays the crew. And so like what do you think about that? What do you think about like these systems of AI, right? Because everyone's kind of building these systems. Like right now it's like LLM focused, but eventually systems are going to start integrating into businesses, and we're going to want to start automating everything so that we can limit the amount of actual human effort it takes to do kind of the menial tasks, right? The lower leverage tasks. And so as AI starts to integrate more into businesses, into like governments and politics and stuff like that, where do you see what role do you see AI playing, especially from like a business perspective? Since you're kind of building a system of your own, right?
Yeah. So first off, that sounds like a great movie. Second off, to not have this happen to you, always hit please and thanks in your prompts. I'm joking. But do that. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt. And just for safety reasons, you may do that as well. I mean, I'm guilty of this as well, right? So I, with my team and my like company, we're automating stuff and we're integrating AI into businesses. And what I'm always preaching is don't let AI do the work for you, rather let it work with you. And automations is an interesting thing here because there's the only one where I think that you should let it some things to do it for you.
Mhm.
Some tasks are just repeatedly like this exact email has to go out like every day to these amount of people. If there would actually be someone sitting like clicking all the buttons, it would take hours and you would just lose time and money. So those are some tasks, and then of course more complex tasks where you don't need a human brain to do it. You're just like clicking buttons. And so automation is an awesome thing if you know how to do it and if you know how to avoid errors and how to fix errors. And then in the other realms where you're actually needing a human brain to do it, like content creation or creativity. I mean, AI is creative as well, but you know what I mean.
Mhm.
There it makes sense to let AI support you, maybe get some inspiration, let it help you with the tasks you don't want to do, or like let it help you, let it support you. And so I think this is where we're headed for business. Just not that AI takes over every business, because everyone who is in business loves at least one aspect about this business, which no matter how good the AI is, like he wouldn't or he or she wouldn't let AI take it over just because he loves it or she loves it for the sake of doing it. So AI will never 100% take over business, even if it could at some point, we would just ignore it, I believe. But there is some tasks and some jobs that are definitely going to be outdated.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking on like just the technical aspects of AI and like automation, right? Because there's a lot of startups that have a lot of money and a lot of really smart people building them. And so I guess my question for you is like, since you've already have a team and you have a system in place to kind of deliver for your clients, how have you kind of overcome this hurdle, right? Where like you don't necessarily have like a ton of experience with AI. How did you manage to build your system from the ground up despite not having like an extreme amount of capital or a ton of experience?
It was just learning and then getting experience. And what I mean by that is, as soon as I found out about AI and a mentor of mine back then told me the potential it had for businesses, especially, because I just wanted to make money at that time, right?
Hmm.
I would sit down. I didn't care anything about AI. I just wanted to make money, and I crashed like my fourth business before that, like straight into the wall. So I just wanted to find something to make money. And he told me I was good, so I started sitting down and looking at what possible use could I have for business, and I found like a bandwidth of possibilities. And compared to today, those were actually just a few. And so fast forward, what I did is I sat down with everything, learned the most popular tools, really got into prompt engineering, and developed frameworks so that you don't have to learn every AI on its own. So just you have a base level understanding of AI, and you can just use that to learn new tools like in minutes. So I experimented with AI, saw how they work, which were shitty, which actually worked, and how they worked, and how they could possibly be useful for businesses. And then I started to reach out to businesses and offered them to just work for free so I could get in the experience.
Hmm.
And I I did around 3,000 reach outs at this point now, until like April this year. And I talked in that time to around 60 companies, and 60 business owners. And because it was free, most of them said yes. So I worked for them all. I made the consulting. I sat down with them, looked at their business, which was not only did I learn how to install AI into businesses because I was doing it, but I got to actually look deep into these businesses to see how these businesses actually function, how they work. So I have a deep level of understanding of how any business out there works. Like not perfect, but have a deep understanding of
Yeah.
how these businesses function, how they operate because of this. So this half a year of working for free actually gave me not the knowledge and theory that I had before, but just the experience and practical work of how to make this work and how to do that.
Ooh, yeah. I love that you mentioned like the depth and the breadth of like your experience and not just like with learning the AI, but learning the ins and outs of the businesses because you worked for free. Because at least for me, whenever I was first getting into like this whole business thing, I was all about money. Like I was like, okay, I gotta make money as quick as possible. I've got to get to 10K a month uh in like 2 seconds, as fast as possible. But I love that you mentioned that you just were willing to work for several months for free and going like all in and just learning as much as you can about AI and delivering for these people. I don't know if you collected testimonies or anything like that, but yeah, and you learned how to like you learned about these businesses, and that's an incredible amount of experience. And like you can pay for mentorship all day long, but the best mentorship might just be like this is kind of an interesting model that you just brought up. Might just be like offering free work for really smart people or really successful businesses and just like learning from them almost at the same time as building up your own business. Like that might be one of the best kind of education frameworks that I've heard from someone. So good on you, Tim. That's an amazing system, bro.
Yeah, thanks. 100%. Definitely, if you're starting out, work for free just to get the experience. But going to successful businesses and to really smart people to offer them to work for free, you might get or you will get into this burden, depending on how successful they are, that they're, even though you're working for free, telling you that you're just too expensive just because you don't have any experience and just working with you is just more effort. So go to the lower ones that actually want to work with you. So my plan for you, if you're starting out, is learn a skill in theory, like in and out. But be careful. Don't procrastinate on it. Don't like learn too much. Don't get into tutorial hell. I'll start once I know this and that. And then you know it. And, oh, wait, there's something more to know. Have a deep level understanding of one hyper focused niche down skill and in theory, and then go to smaller businesses to say, hey, I have this understanding. I want to work for free to do this for you, and then level up and up and up the business until you're at a point where you're working for the businesses that you would want to work for just for free. I actually recommend, if you have the patience, to go even one level above that to work for the businesses one step ahead, so you can bring these businesses that you want to work with to this next point because you've been there, because you've worked there. This is my recommendation. And if you start off too early, too high, you will get into this that people are going to tell you, go fuck off. You're too inexperienced. You're just costing me time and money. And what you can then do is to pay them to being able to work for you, which I actually have people who pay me to get experience in my business in this niche. I actually have people for me doing that. So you're gonna know if you want to invest this money, you don't have to. There's better ways to do it by just starting off small and then leveling up. Even the working for free, leveling that up. But definitely starting to work for free is probably the highest leverage thing on your income that you can possibly do.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And so you mentioned that you did 3,000 outreaches, right? And so that's like absolutely insane. I don't know if that was cold calls or cold emails, but like walk me through that process because at least for me, a lot of beginning entrepreneurs kind of are turned off by outreach. Like they kind of find it difficult, like they don't want to be doing it. So tell me about that process and how you kind of found the drive to do all that outreach just for free work.
I mean, 3,000 outreaches isn't really much, right? So it's 100 a day for a month. That's 3,000 reach outs. So it's really, really not that much. It's like barely enough to get some data on what actually works. And throughout this time, I had many different processes. I did a lot of those outreaches were with email, and a lot of those, or most of those, were with the DM. and then some were cold calling. And can I do anything else? I don't believe so. It's just email, cold calling, and DM. So that's what I did mostly. And of course, at the beginning, I sucked, and then I started to get a better and better understanding of how everything works. And now I'm at a pretty good point where I have an ABR of like 8%. So for 100 DMs that I send, I get 8 meetings, which is good. It can be better, which is good. For like 3,000 reach outs, it's some progress.
I mean, that's pretty good progress. I mean, 8 meetings out of 100 reach outs, like that's pretty solid. Like you could do that on your own and get those meetings. So I love the image attached to this particular tweet. I think it was kind of a older tweet, but here's how you opened it. So you had an image with your business will fail written in like scribbled onto a torn piece of
Oh,
paper with a pen. And so here's the tweet. Your business will fail because you don't stand out. How to? AI is your new secret weapon. Here's everything you need. Craft killer content that hits the mark. Engage with followers 24/7. Predict the next big trend. Get ahead now without selling your soul to social media. And so what I love about this was that you mentioned standing out. And so how do you kind of advise content creators and like to stand out, especially with the tools like AI that are on the market now?
see, I have no idea how to grow a social media or how to grow an inbound, right? That's all the I have no idea to actually. I mean, I have some theoretical knowledge on it, on like how to do it and deliver value and stuff, but I don't have like an actual framework to do it. I'm not an ex marathon, right? Uh, so what do I mean with stand out and how to stand out? If you open the front page of really any social media platform, especially on X, you will see that the most posts they sound the same. It's not that they're bad, they just sound the same. And so we have to do something to stand out. And this means trying new things and failing, and trying new things and failing, and trying new things and failing until something works. And it's the new big thing that you start through with. And you can do that by looking at trends and stuff. And AI is a big one here. But how to stand out with AI really is just seeing what already works, and then AI just helping you to make some tweaks around that to find a new way to work.
Yeah.
That's what we see with AI, which is good right now, and which it will be better in the future, to just see what has been working so far, what has not been working so far, and how can we tweak what works so that we find a unique style to be better and better. Right now, it's a lot of just shooting into the dark, right? So just telling AI, tell me how we could go around it. I would recommend, if you try and do that, start with Perplexity, because Perplexity, so the AI, right? It's an AI, awesome AI. I
Mhm.
love Perplexity as an AI. It's free, so you can just go to Perplexity and just asking it for what has been working, because it has access to the entire internet and Google, and can give you sources and everything. So just ask it to find out what has been working on the platform you want to grow your inbound on, and then just do some reach out bullshit, research on what has been working, how it's been working, even why it has been working. You have to do a lot of the thinking on your own, um, to then find a way to tweak this to your own advantage.
Oh, okay. And so like you mentioned something before, like earlier on the podcast about like kind of using your account as evidence to show that AI can be like integrated almost completely into like your content creation system. So like how does that what does that look like for you right now, and how can a beginning creator kind of get into that? Like would you recommend that they even start with AI? Should they like find their own voice first? Or
No,
go ahead.
yeah. Don't do it with AI. And as I'm doing it, I start to realize that yes, it is possible, but I don't recommend. I mean, let's see how it is at the end of the 30 days, right? But I don't recommend. It's generic. You really can't find out anything about it yourself. It's no experience for yourself. You can't get better at writing or content creation or whatever. So what I recommend is learn the skill on your own, like completely on your own. Let AI outside. Do it on your own, learn it on your own. And then once you have the ability to go viral on your own, or I mean, the goal is not to go viral for business owners. The goal is to create an inbound system of specifically targeted people that you could sell to. So once you know exactly how to build this, then start working with AI to make this process easier, because then you know what works, you know how it works, and you can determine what is good and what isn't. So you have a better understanding of the output from this AI is good and this is bad, or this is a good foundation. We just have to work on some things. So don't do it 100% with AI. Don't start out to do it with 100% AI, because it won't work. I mean, it will work to some degree, but not as good as it could work if you learn the skill on your own, or if you're a bigger company, get someone in who knows how to do it, but then you can completely outsource it. But just learn it on your own, and then once you know it, start with AI to work with you, as I said before already, to just help you make it better, quicker, faster, more efficient, whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like a great way to do it, because if you start out with it, it kind of like the AI takes your voice, but whenever you have your own voice established, then you can use the AI to kind of streamline everything. So it would your content would still have authenticity, it would still have like your kind of personal flair in it, but then you can just use the AI to kind of help you tweak some of the aspects of it, which is awesome. Yeah, for sure. And I guess like something I would like to transition into is like your actual business, right? So like you're not a content creator trying to go viral, obviously. And so you're on X trying to, write to kind of build this business out. And so as I was doing my research, especially like when I read your bio for the first time, something stood out to me. You said that you help business owners save time and scale with efficiency through AI, but you did it at a very impressive rate of, I believe it was 400 hours per month saved for over 110 businesses. So, from a business perspective, what kind of services do you offer, and how do you lead to these hugely valuable results for your clients?
Yeah, it's simple once you understand. It's not easy, but it's simple. So what we do is we work with medium-sized companies, meaning starting off with like 500,000 in profit a year, going upwards to 10 million. It's not enterprise, it's before enterprise, like medium-sized business, because they have the most processes installed, and we can help them the best and the easiest to work with. So what we do is we look at this business. First off, we are a team of three, me plus two amazing other guys. One of them is specialized in automation. One of them is specialized in chatbots. I do the consulting. What this means, I'll explain in a minute. So we look at these businesses. We look at what processes do they have currently, what do they do, what is everything they work on right now, and what softwares do they use to work with it, or how
Right.
do they work
Yeah.
with it even. And then we look at where do they want to go, what new projects do they want to bring in, and what is the next step as soon as they like have more time. Is it just doing more of what is already working, which I always recommend, or in some specific scenario where it makes sense to do something else, how or what new projects do they want to make, and how would they look like. So we look at the businesses in detail, and then we see, okay, which tasks are just recurrent tasks, what can we automate, which tasks are based on rules. So as soon as this happens, I want this and this and this to happen, and then an hour later I want this and this to happen. What is recurring and what works on rules? Then we automate that. This is a far, far larger opportunity than most people think. The things that actually can be automated, once you put someone onto it that knows how to do it, it's amazing what can be done. So around 40-50% most often is then just put to the side, which now leads us to more time and more staff that is free to work on other things. But we're not finished with putting AI in here. So the next step that we do is we implement chatbots. So we look at, all right, what would need human interaction, or like where is human interaction that we can replace. So chatbots is just interaction that we're replacing. So that's in customer service, that's in lead generation through social media, and that's in employee and staff training. Those are the main ones. Then of course we could like do a mentor, do a bot of like Alex Hormozi with his stuff and or whatever else, but that's more for smaller people starting out or just for fun. But mostly it's just lead generation, customer service, and staff training. So we do that, which leaves us with more people and more time left to some few selected tasks. And for these tasks, I do the consulting, meaning where and how and which AI tools can we use to make the remaining work easier, quicker, and more efficient. And that's what we do for these businesses. And most often, they work around 3,000 hours a month. So, right, overall, over all employees and over everything, we have minimum of 3,000 working hours per month. Which then, if you think about it, of all of these hours, what actually goes into human interaction that you can't replace, or into thinking process that you can't replace, it's just a small percentage of that. So the most things actually can just be automated, done with chatbots, or just supported with AI. And that's where these 400 hours can easily come from.
Okay. I like that you mentioned the idea of we, right? A team, because there's a buzzword going around on especially X about the idea of solopreneurship and like how you can build this one person business all on your own and scale it up to like 10K a month all by yourself, and you can kind of see like some of the big creators doing it, but it's I honestly, yeah, I disagree with it. I think that to really build something special and not just like a gimmick, like a one time, like a one trick pony of money, and make it quick and make it happen fast, like that isn't something you want to do on your own. Like, first of all, it's harder because you're gonna be the bottleneck because you're doing all the work for everything from the lead gen to the delivery to the like the sales, like everything about it is all on you. And so like you're not gonna have the skills, like you said, to be doing everything. Like you do the consulting, right? So you probably don't have as much expertise in chatbots as the other guy on your team. And so as a solopreneur, that might be your bottleneck, right? If you're doing all of that, then your work with the chatbots wouldn't be as good. And so I guess like what aspect of team building could you go into that you could give to like a beginning entrepreneur that like kind of wants to do this whole business thing but doesn't know how to like build a team?
Yeah. First off, when you're starting to build a business and starting to build a team, use these teammates or these people that you want to employ. Make sure that they don't take work on the outside, on the executive off of you, because you want to learn that on your own. In fact, make sure that these people you hire are an improvement to the product. So whichever service you do or whichever product you do, make sure that they're an improvement to the product, and then learn the outreach part, learn the management part, learn the sales part, all on your own. And once you understand these things, get employees there as well. But for a team building part, which is around the offer, which the question was, look at A-level talent. They will cost more, maybe twice as much as like B-level talent. But you have to find the best people on the internet. This is a lot of searching, a lot of recruiting, because like my guys, they weren't easy to find just because they don't put themselves out there. They're just freelancers that work a lot of off of referrals just because they're that good. Like they're that good. So it was hard to find them. And then you have to do a lot of calls. Like extremely tremendous amounts of just recruiting calls. And once you've done 10 or 20 calls, you will start to notice what are some patterns of people who actually know their stuff
Right.
and of people who don't know like anything. And so do a lot of calls to see what someone who knows their stuff looks like, and then just see the one who fits best. Meaning they have to share your vision, they have to share your idea and your purpose, and you have to connect on a human level. So you have to understand yourselves, and you have to align with the same values. So if your values, we need to do things as fast as possible, and the other one's values, we have to do things like we have to think about things before we do them because we have to move strategic. It can work. You can be a good like equal opposite to just get it into a ratio. But in general, it is better to just put more people with the same values and belief to the same thing. So a lot of interviews, A-level talent, and the same vision.
Mm,
That's
that's
what I recommend.
absolutely, man. That is, I'm assuming you have like an amazing team put together. You all vibe together. You all kind of have the same values, the same vision for where the business is going. So I guess like how long did it take you to find them and where did you find them? And like what was that process like for you?
So it took quite some time, a few months and a couple interviews, not with other people, with them as well, of course, but with these two as well. We talked a lot, we talked often. And where I noticed that these were actually good people is I didn't understand a word of what they were saying when they were talking about their stuff.
Mhm.
So when I was on these team meetings with them to speak about how we could build this business, they had more experience in different fields, of course, that they brought in. And they chatbots and automations actually they lie really, really close to each other. So when we were on these meetings, I would just give them an input of what I would think. Then they would discuss it with words I've never heard and I will never understand. And then after some minutes, they would come back to me with an easy and clear explanation of what they were even talking about. And then I would either say, let's do it or let's don't do it. And then discuss it again. I would understand nothing about it. And then they come back to me with something I would understand. So that's a good indicator as well that you have, like, they understand more about the thing than you do. And so it took me quite some time and a lot of interviews to find them. I don't know, but it's well like a couple months, 4 to 5 months. And then where did I find them? They were on Upwork and Fiverr,
Mhm.
actually, so where freelancers just are. But I had to search for them for quite some time. So change the search the search settings to like just find the best people and then outsource what wouldn't work and here and there and just get more and more narrow to the exact person I wanted. And there I found them after just interviewing lots of people.
Okay, so is it kind of like a game of quantity almost? Like, I guess a mix of quality and quantity because you don't want to be doing interviews all day, but you basically do as much digging as you can on like these freelancing websites for like this specific kind of task or skill that you're looking for, like that expertise. And then you get them on an interview. And then like what are you doing in the interview to qualify them? Like is it like questions or is it like a conversation? Is it like a almost like a qualification process that you do to make sure that they're someone you want to work with?
So first off, it's a quality and then quantity game. So like we define our ICP, our ideal customer, you have to define this perfect teammate. And then just like you would do for a customer, look for where they are, how they would act, and then all of these people you can find, just do interviews with them, like you do sales calls, like you do marketing just for employees. And then how the call goes. Again, I don't say I'm perfect with this. This is just how I did it, and I have an amazing team. So what I did is first off, I asked them questions to, all right, maybe first off, the message I sent them, I told them about the idea I had and what I wanted to do with them. And they told me, hey, it sounds fine. Or sound good. They loved the idea. So we hopped on this call. I asked them questions that were important for me to really understand what they were doing, how it was working, and then as well how they would align with my purpose and vision. And then we were just discussing on how we could make like my business or our business, this vision, work together, how we could make this work, what we could do, how we could do it, how we could implement it. Because at that point, and still to this day, my business isn't perfectly planned through. It's not all set, and it will never be. It should be like always moving and evolving.
Hmm.
So we were just discussing on what they thought on the things I had little experience and knowledge on, what they thought about it, and how we could make this grow together. And there I saw on how we communicated and how they spoke. So with their things that I didn't understand anything of, saying them, and then just as they noticed I have no idea of what they were talking about, explaining it to me further so that I could understand it, and their vision aligning with mine. And that was also where I knew I found the right people. And then we had some calls again to just, I had one-on-one calls with each of them, and then I put them together. A lot of times we work together. They like each other as well, which is awesome when everything and everyone on their team just loves to work together. And so I instilled this good team of just high qualified, high talented people who just love to work together.
Mm, yeah, that's interesting. You have such a great team. That's so inspiring, honestly, since you're like just like you've kind of had this thing for like around a year right now, and you're already gotten like a team of like really talented, really, you know, really connected people that can work well together. Like that's actually crazy progress from just like a year's worth of work. Like you've already put together something really like a genuine business, like you have a team set up. And like look at me and look at all these other guys over on X just doing the whole solopreneur BS. So yeah, that's super inspiring, man.
I
And
mean, I've done that for a long time as well, right? This solopreneur stuff. I've done that for a long time. And if you really think about it, what I've done, maybe it was just a lot of luck, but I believe volume negates luck. So the more and the harder you do something, the sooner you will get just lucky. Um, but if you really think about it, all that I've been doing was just outreach, sales calls, and then on the weekends building this team. And this was all of it for the past years. And if you think about it that way, it's actually not that much. So there's much more to be achieved.
mm, yeah, so much more to be achieved. And so I guess like transitioning a little bit more towards like the content side and like your growth on Twitter, since it's kind of been crazy, right? Like you've only been you're still like you're halfway through your 30-day challenge and you've popped off and you actually did something very interesting that I read in a post. And from like a content creator perspective, like this is kind of controversial, but you said that I went from 0 to 120 followers in 15 days, lost them all in a day. Why? I removed bots and dropped to 29 followers. In 7 days, I'm back at 85. Finally, something to celebrate. You people are amazing. And what I want to point out about this was that when you removed all those bots, you dropped from 120 to 29.
It was crazy, yeah.
That is insane. And so it almost makes you question the meaning of followers because who are your actual followers if over 70% of them aren't actual followers? And so I love that you did this. And I feel like it's such an underrated thing, especially from like a business perspective, right? Because if you're just trying to go viral as a content creator, fine, the bots are fine. But if you genuinely want to monetize your audience, it might be worth doing something like this. So walk me through like your mindset surrounding making this decision and how you kind of grew back and overcame it so quickly.
So why I did that. I honestly don't remember why I did that. I mean, I didn't like the idea of having bots in my followers, and then I just started to remove every bot because I guess I was just bored, and so removed everyone. And when you're in this, I did it on my phone, and when you're in this followers on your phone and you're just removing everyone, you don't see how the count is dropping. So I would do this for a while. My mind would wander while like, going to like somewhere else. And then when I was through and I reloaded the page, I was kind of shocked that I had just lost 100 followers. So from 120 going down to like 29, and then because I was hot, right? I was in this mood. I just removed nearly everyone else who was just inactive or just some follow for follow thing I like did like a few years ago. Um, so I was basically at zero again, which was exciting because we had this new white paper of possibilities that
Yeah.
we were able to do. And that was what I thought about this AI to do the AI challenge. And I set everything up and I put it on and I thought, let's see how far I can build this back up. Um, and it's pretty good. I'm averaging around 10 followers a day, so 10 followers a day. So I'm at day 15 now, and I'm at 150 followers almost, but the day's not over. So it's it's been quite a ride to go from 0 to 120 in a few months. So I was building this in over a year because I wasn't taking X too seriously.
Hmm.
Then just dropping down to basically zero, and now taking it for real and doing it again with the ups and downs in between. It's quite a ride, and I'm not done with it yet, but so far it was probably worth it.
That's good. That is a roller coaster of a social media growth journey, to say the least. So what do you think has been like, if there's one lever that you've pulled the most that's led to kind of like your explosive growth, like up till now where you're at 150 from 29, what would it be? Like what led to your explosive growth?
If you look at the post that popped off the most, so in relative to my other posts, right? It's all just personality posts of me sharing my journey. It's not just personality posts of me like sharing my flaws or what I ate, which I haven't posted, but right. So it's not just typically personality posts.
Yeah.
It's just posting the journey of how I grew on Twitter, which as I'm building or as I'm trying to build this community of actually further develop business owners to get them into AI. Don't know if that's bad or good, but the connections I had were good, so probably targeted the right people. So for anyone starting out, I wouldn't say. I mean, it depends on the market you're in, and it depends on who you want to target. Um, but in general, posting your journey and your successes and your losses, but then connecting them back to a success, so turning your losses into successes by I just learned, which is the most basic one. So I failed here, I just learned. It has shown the most growth for me. So this one day when I had this one post which went like really viral for me. So for believe I had 90 followers at that time. And therefore I had 40 likes. So half of my followers basically liked it.
Hmm.
Um, it was about me sharing my journey. Right, here is it. It's this 7 days that I started to take X seriously. In 7 days, I have 91 followers, 6 awesome friends, $0 made from X. But my journey isn't over. Keep being awesome. I'm rooting for all of you. This one really popped off with 23 comments, one repost, which was for myself, 40 likes, and two bookmarks. And I'm not saying that to brag. It's just it not even has a picture. It's just me telling of how far I've come and that I will continue doing it. And there's some other posts on my profile who popped up as well who are in the same area. So here and there showing your journey and giving them something to celebrate really is the key to explosive growth, I believe.
Mm. Yeah. Sharing your wins, sharing your like just building in public and adding a little spice, a little personality to it. That's all it takes to grow. And it really is that simple. You just gotta like show up every day, let people know what you're doing, let people know about who you are, who you truly are. Send those stupid looking selfies like you do. And then that's how you grow. Yeah, man, totally. And so I guess like what I would like to know about is like your day to day. Like give me a daily vlog of Tim's life. What does it look like? What does it look like, say tomorrow, right? On a Sunday. What would you be working on? And how does your day kind of unfold from the moment you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed?
Um, I will give you the rundown of tomorrow, but I think far more interesting maybe a typical school day, because there's much more stuff going on. But let's start with tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll try to go to bed at around 12 p.m. today. Um, I'm not a fan of just going to bed early and then waking up early in the mornings, which I do while school, but when I have the time, I just like to work deep into the night and then just sleep until the sun wakes me up. Um, so I'll do that. Sleep around 8 to 9 hours. Get up. Drink some water. Look at the sun, which is extremely important for your mental health. Just look at the sun in the morning. Like not directly at the sun. You people understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of water. Hydrate yourself again. I like to do a drink of just water with lemon and bit of sugar and not sugar, salt, excuse me. Um, Put that down, like drink it. And then it's just going to work. So whatever tasks I have for the day, I like to start with must do's that I every day I have to do. So follow-ups, and new reach outs. Like maybe I'll try to, if I have any big problems coming up, or if I'm like deep in problems, which happens quite often when you're an entrepreneur. I like to summarize them with pen and paper. So just put them on a paper, think about them, make it clear so I'm not stressed. And after I have these have to do's every day, I'll start doing my work, eat in between, and then later on in the afternoon, I'll go to the gym, train, come back, and maybe a sauna session in between. I like the sauna actually. Quite old, and it seems to be healthy, so it's awesome. Um, and then continue to work until you go to bed. And so that's all. It's just basically all working. And then from a school day, I I like my day-to-day life in school much more because I feel more productive because it's more different things.
Yeah, yeah,
It's more action, it's more happening. When I'm
yeah.
here, I wake up, I start working, and that's it. And when I'm in school, like I wake up, it's typically dark outside. Not in summer. In summer, you can actually see some sun, but in winter, it's like dark outside. So the wake up at 6 p.m. Drink the water, do like and start the day with some sports. So do 100 burpees every morning. Take a cold shower. Of course, the celebratory cold shower. Just because I like it, just because it boosts my dopamine and it gets me awake. Um, yeah, then totally go to school, come back from school, and that's where I start working. Then in the afternoon, again, like go to a boxing session or hit the gym, come back, work again. So and then I go to sleep at around like 10 p.m. and work up the next day at 6 a.m. again.
Okay. So like I like that actually. The fact that you kind of appreciate the busier school day because there's more action happening. Because at least for me, I'm dreading starting school again in like the next few weeks because like I'm gonna lose all this time that I could be putting into my business. But that mindset shift is actually kind of interesting because you can almost view it as like a new kind of part of your routine where like you're going to be busy doing this other thing. Like you're going to be active the rest of the day, but then you kind of have to like mesh your business together somehow in it. And I think that's so interesting because yeah, like just because you're working a 9 to 5 or just because you're going to school doesn't mean that you can't be building a business at the same time, you know? In fact, it almost incentivizes you to do so because I think it's Alex Hormozy that says it, that the best times to start a business are when you're busy because if you can perform and deliver and actually get this thing off the ground whenever you're stuck in a 9 to 5 or stuck in school, imagine what you could do whenever you're just focusing on the business. And so, yeah, that's super powerful, man. Yeah. And I love your daily routine.
Totally. Yeah. So, especially when you're in school and when you're young, just because you have a roof over your head and no costs that you have to come to, no cost that you have to pay really, because it's all done by your parents. You have just the time to build a business. And I think the why I like my day to day in school more, it's because it's more happening, of course. But when I have my free time and or like in summer break, and I wake up at 8 a.m. and I see that I have just this 12-hour day in front of me, not even 12, like 18-hour day, that I can fill with work. It's that I get into this, even though I love work, it's that I get into this, wait, I have only this many tasks, so it won't fill up the whole day. And then you get not like unconsciously, you get to this procrastinating and starting to do things on the side just because you have so much time. And in the end, you may overall get more work done, but this is the point where I'm starting to struggle with. It's just too much time. So I like the day to day in school just because you have so little time and you have to get it done. You
Right.
have to get it done. So I'm more productive. And this is where it's really gets fun when you're like fogged. So when you're like deep in bad stuff, right? So bills coming up, you can't pay for whatever reason. And you're like deep down in some serious stuff. That's where it gets fun because you don't have the time to get out of it. You're sitting in school, or you know you have to do something for your health or whatever. You're sitting in school. You have no possible you have no possibilities to fix it. You just have to sit there, and then you have this 4 hours in the afternoon to actually save your life. That's where it gets fun.
Oh, yeah, when your back's pressed against the wall, when you're getting chased by that bear, or like there's a dragon breathing down your neck. Yeah, that's like when business starts to get really fun because you literally have to perform. You have to do something to save yourself. And like that's the best driver, I think. Like, yeah, you could have dreams, but the best motivator is the fears.
Always, always.
Yeah,
So I
man.
know they've done this study with rats, right, where they put cheese in front of it and like put a string to its tail to see how much it pulls, and the power of the pull would represent the willpower. And they put cheese in there, and it would like run quite fast. But then they put like a cat, so like hairs of a cat in the background, and it would pull like 3 times as hard. So the greatest motivator is always fear of loss or just fear in general. Um, and so I remember this one time it was back in school, like 2 months ago, where I actually was like I was down. Like I think now it's all coming down. This is the end. I'm not going to live another day. It was like that bad. And I had only 4 hours to work in the afternoon. I had like longer school, and I had a school project coming up where I had to hold a presentation. And it was just I would wake up in the morning and I'm I'm gonna die today. This is the day I die. Tomorrow I won't see tomorrow. I'm in deep shit here. So I went to school and I couldn't think about anything else of how do I fix this problem because there was no possible way out. And I was just thinking about it. I was like in school writing notes, like my hat was like red, it was popping off. And I came back here. I started to work. I started to call everyone I knew to try and fix this problem I had. So I was trying to do everything to fix this problem I had, and I managed to do it at the end of the day. I actually managed to do it with like more delaying it a bit into the future, but I was fixing it for now. So I knew I would live another day. And so I had no pressure on my shoulders again. And for a fraction of a second, I was happy. But then again, it went there. It was like, fuck. Like I want it back. I want this feeling of I don't live another day. I want it back. I had it. I wanted it back. I was on fire. Like I've never been so productive. I wanted it back because I was so productive. I would get so much done. My brain would operate on a whole other level. And I wanted so deeply, I wanted this feeling and the situation back of knowing I'm not going to live another day unless I get this fixed. So actually, as we said before, this is where it gets fun. This is the most important time where we're most productive. And I love these days, even though when I'm in them, I don't, and I hate them. But in retrospective, it's this feeling of just deep, deep fear for everything you have built. It makes you feel alive, and that's fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This reminds me of a quote that you just of a tweet that you posted, and I'll quote you here. You're lazy, you're a failure. My brain, ironically, 3 a.m. every night. But every morning I get up and try again because maybe I am lazy, maybe I have failed, but I'm not done yet. Your past doesn't define your future. Keep showing up. So how do you keep showing up even on the really hard days where you don't want to wake up? Whoa. Oh, hey there. This is an ad, so skip forward 30 seconds if you don't care. But you do care. You want the life of your dreams. And so today, let's change it. That is why I'm so excited to announce the first ever sponsor of the podcast, the exclusive crew. What if I told you you could do 534 days worth of work in just 1 week? What about a decade's worth of work in just one day? How would you do it? The magic of leverage. And what is the most powerful form of leverage that all of these startups, all of these massive, massive companies use every single day? Attention. And so at the exclusive crew, they help creators to connect with brands and monetize their audience through an exclusive brand labeling network. And through this network, community members can wield the power, wisdom, and eyeballs of the biggest influencers and brands on the planet right at their fingertips. Join the crew. Do it today, do it now, change your life.
It's all just logic and math, honestly. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, you could always do more, and there's hardly a time where I go to bed thinking I couldn't possibly have done more today because there's always something to do better. But how I do it is just simple math and logic. So you re-engineer your goal. You look at where do I want to get at what point of time, what are the actions necessary to get me to that goal? Like just calculate it through. How many emails do I have to send? How many calls do I need to have? How many posts do I need to do to get this goal at that time? Then you double that number because like right, the worst thing that could happen is you get there twice as fast. So you double that number and you stick to doing that every single day, no matter what comes up, no matter what like important meeting you have to be, you get it done. Like first thing in the day, nothing gets done before this hasn't been done. And then no matter if you like doubt everything about it, like you doubt all your decisions, anything like this can't work, whatever, because everyone has those days. You just get it done. And over time, you'll see that you will actually reach the goal. So no matter how much you doubt yourself, you've calculated it once, just stick to it.
Mm, yeah,
And that's how you perform to get the goal. It's just math.
just math. Yeah, because like you break it down into numbers, like like you kind of reverse engineer from your dream outcome, from your goal, and you just work backwards until you get to like that first principle of like, okay, I need to do this many things for this long until I get to the goal, right? And so like you almost kind of make it so simple for yourself that you can literally do it right now instead of just having like the confusion in your head. Because for me when I was starting out, especially on X, this wasn't even business. This was just like growth. I was so overwhelmed with all the things I could be doing. So I tried everything all at once. So I was posting like 4 times a day. I was commenting, I was DMing, I was hopping on calls. I was doing all these things at the same time, right? But what I realized worked wasn't doing everything at the same time. It was to focus on the highest leverage thing. And so for me, that was growth. And it turns out this is actually very interesting. It wasn't the quantity of posts because I realized that I only needed to post once a day and then do the reposts. So I reposted every 3 hours, one post a day, repost every 3 hours. And then that grew my following almost like 2 to 3 times faster than if I posted 3 to 4 different kinds of posts during the day. That's what's worked for me. But that's kind of like what I realized was like, okay, maybe it isn't the quantity of posts I need to be focusing on, but like the quality of that one post and actually like just repurposing it. And then what I did was that I focused more on engagement because I realized that as a nobody, people don't know you. They don't see your shit. They don't care about what you're posting. And so you have to comment, you have to engage. And so like when you focus in on those core things, right? And you reverse engineer it back to like, okay, in order to get viral, in order to grow followers, I need to post something. And in order for that post to go off, it needs to be good. And in order for people to see my post, I have to engage. And so like all these layers kind of build on top of each other, but you can kind of boil it down to logic and math, like you said, to really like dig into, okay, this is what I need to do to get to the goal. I love that you mentioned that. Because like at least for our human brains, it's easier to process.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. To top it all off, the final tweet, I think this is one of your more recent tweets, and I love this idea of having your back pressed against the wall. It's super relevant. But this is like the conclusion of your challenge, or the beginning of your challenge, actually, I think. I have 4 weeks left to make it work. In 4 weeks, I'll be in debt. This will ruin me forever. My only option, one more high ticket client in 28 days, or I'm dead. The plan, 3 daily posts on X, 40 cold DMs a day, 50 comments a day. This won't be as easy as it seems. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm still in the situation. It's what I said before that this problem I had that I just then kind of to just get more time in. And like, no worries, it's not with any drug dealers. I'm not like in a comedy drama in like I haven't paid my dealer back or something. Um, I probably will survive through it, but it's actually still the case that I would be better off making it in this time. I won't die, of course, probably. I hope so. Um, but just to set this goal is as we discussed before, greater motivator. So, I mean, I have made a client before from X actually. So the second day I was on the challenge, someone messaged me because he wanted to have AI. I had a call with him, and long story short, I closed him. An amazing guy. Been working together for a few days now. Amazing guy. So it's still true that I still need one other, but no worries. I will have it as I had it before, always. So it'll all just be fine. I'm figuring it out, and it's just a volume thing, as we discussed before. It's just a volume thing. So I hope that with enough work, everything will be fine.
Yeah, with enough work. So what are you working for? Like besides like, the success of the business and like I guess for your own from like a personal level, is there something that is driving you besides like just like wanting to win in this whole business thing? Like is there a reason why you're doing this?
I've been asked this question many, many times, and I've answered it many, many times in many, many different ways. And the most recent answer I stuck to, and I believe that's the honest one. I don't have a why. I do it for the sake of doing it. I love the people I'm working with. I love the reason why I do it, which is because I do it and because I see vision for this big empire. Like I said before, it is with joy and meaning and purpose, if that's what you want to call it. So that's what I do. And even though I would like to have this awesome, like badass reason for like I don't care about anyone else. I have to make this work for my own for some villain arc story. Even though I would love that villain arc, I guess I'm just a regular guy who's found joy in doing these things and in building something awesome and does it for the sake of doing it and not to get revenge on anything or anyone.
Beautiful. Yeah. You don't have anything special or any like special arc that you're following. Like there's no like epic storyline like building yourself up because of like this you want to get revenge on this guy that bullied you or something. Like you have just like a very interesting perspective. You don't have a why. You just do it for the sake of it. Yeah, that's super powerful because I feel like the whole purpose and passion thing is kind of thrown around nowadays where like people are like, before you get into business, you got to find your passion or you got to find your purpose. And that's what's going to drive you. But maybe you don't, like what if you didn't need to like be stuck in that frame of mind where like first you have to figure out what you want to do and then do it? What if you just did the thing and then fell in love with it, right? I think that's something that a lot of people kind of need to realize that it's just about getting started and getting diving headfirst into it. It's going to suck, but then all that sucking is eventually going to turn into something beautiful where you're going to actually love the process of it. It just takes, you just got to have the balls to just go all in on it from the get-go. And that's exactly what you've done for sure, man. And so I will finish off with one fun question for you, Tim. It's a
Please.
$1 million question, actually. So imagine this. An angel investor slides into your DMs tomorrow, offering to invest $10 million into your business. How would you respond to the DM? Would you take the money? And if so, how would you spend the money to further develop your business?
Um, if we take it realistically, no, I wouldn't because it obviously sounds like a huge scam. But now let's say it's true, and now let's say I have taken the money and it's just somehow got into my bank account and it's all legal. Like I'm not getting chased for it by any government. So it's everything legal, everything fine. I have these 10 million. What would I do with it? What would I do with these 10 million? It's a lot of money. Um, the first things I'd like to buy would probably be some more people, like employing more people to make this thing bigger. Invest into people who know more than I do in different areas to come to work with me, so that I can just outsource a lot of things, so I can really focus on the things I want to do, which I can do already just because of AI. Uh, but getting more experience on things that I have no idea about, and just from getting people to who know their stuff. So that this would be one thing, just more investing into the business, and then there's still like millions and millions over. I could say that I would like give it to my parents, but they would do the exact same thing with it that I would do in the next step, which is just investing it for further times, and so that is like um safe from inflation. So as boring as it sounds, just investing the rest, and whenever you need something more, just taking a bit out of it. And as I have no idea about really investments or crypto, I have some strong connections in that realm, actually, of like real estate and whatever, you name it. I know some people who could make it work. But I don't want to like know any more about like investing. So I'll just put it into like the S&P 500 and the MSCI World. There's some indexes just to save it from inflation and to make it more, and then just taking money out of it every time I need it. So investing into the business would be the first thing, and then putting off the rest of the money to invest in the business one later. Somewhere in like a few years or a few months, that's what I would do with the 10 million.
As boring as you think your answer is, that's like one of the best, right? 'Cause it's simple, it's boring, but it'll work, right? It's so simple, like you don't have to do anything complicated. Yeah. One extra bonus question. Didn't plan for this one, but where do you see yourself in 5 years? As a person, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a content creator, where do you see yourself?
I mean, I'll be 21, so I'll probably start going to university then. So that's that. I will be going to university to like actually study economics and business. Not because I think studying that is important. And because in Germany, like we don't have to go in deep debt to do it. It's just like basically free more or less. So I don't have to go in debt and student debt to do that. So I'll start studying um economics. And from a business perspective, like I don't even know. I'm not thinking about um that. It's just short term thinking. How do I get in? How do I grow this right now, like fast? And then the long term thing of this really Imperium. In 5 years, I'm probably set with my offer. Have most of my clients coming from inbound. I hope all of them coming from inbound actually. And I think it's possible to have me in 5 years only working on the stuff I want to be working on. So I think I'd like to have outsourced the coaching part actually, so that I'm just in sales and creating like the content for social media.
Hmm.
That's the overall goal. And I think from a how I would like to work perspective, that's the overall goal. And I think that's possible in 5 years. I hope so. Let's see.
We will see, man. Okay. This was an amazing conversation, Tim. Thank you for joining me and sharing your thoughts on AI, business, content creation, everything in between. What have you been up to? Share with the world everything that you've got going on. Let's hear it.
First off, thanks for having me, of course. It was, in fact, a really, really nice conversation we have been talking for like 2 hours now, which is crazy if you think about it. Time flew just by. So what I do currently is get in more sales calls. I really want to have my calendar full with just calls, like call after call after call after call. Um, because like sales is, as we figured out before, like amazing. I love it. So just get in more sales calls, and then grow the inbound, grow Twitter. I have a YouTube channel as well, but that's there I upload the videos in German. So just build more Twitter and get Twitter bigger. And I believe that's it. More calls and bigger inbound.
This was the part where you're supposed to plug your offer.
Oh, right. So if anyone is interested in implementing AI, and you feel like from what you heard before, it could be something that would be working for you, and you want to work smarter, more efficient, quicker in any way, save time to better reinvest it, I'm always open for you. Just slide into my DMs on X, shoot me a message, and we can talk about it. It will be like completely risk-free, just us talking about how it could even make sense to work with you, or how AI would make sense for you, and then to just simply figure out if you could be a fit for us. So no pressure, just to find it out. We can have a quick chat of how that would work. Other than that, to boost my 30-day challenge, I actually have I don't know when this episode will come out, but as of today, the
The 10th.
10th of August, I have an amazing giveaway coming up on sharing everything in detail with the exact prompts that I gave my AI to do the posts and everything. So that's coming up. I Yeah. So the most important or the most interesting part for everyone listening is probably my Twitter. And if you want to have AI installed for you, shoot me a message on X. We'll just talk about how this makes sense for you.
Yeah. All of his links, everything to his social media and his handles will be in the description and in the show
Awesome.
notes. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the 16-year-old AI-preneur, Tim Westermann. This was such a dope episode, man. It's been a pleasure
It
to have you on
was.
the show.
Pleasure to be here.